Hi everyone, welcome to the channel dedicated to sharing the profound insights and wisdom of Andromedan contactee Alex Collier. If you're new here, you're in for a journey that expands your mind and consciousness, bringing you closer to understanding the messages from the fifth density Andromedan extraterrestrials. For those returning, we're grateful for your continued support. Before we dive into today's enlightening content, we have a small favor to ask. If you find value in the knowledge shared in this video, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to our channel, and clicking the bell icon so you never miss an update. Your engagement helps us amplify Alex Collier's message, allowing us to reach a larger audience with these vital messages. We'd also love to hear from you, so please engage with the comments below. Whether it's a question, your thoughts, or even just an emoji for the sake of engagement, every comment counts. We read every single comment, and your feedback is incredibly valuable to us, as it all contributes to our mission of expanding this community. So please don't hesitate to leave your thoughts below. Additionally, if you'd like to support us further, consider giving a super thanks tip by clicking the heart with the $sign. This small gesture allows us to continue bringing you more of Alex's messages, unfiltered and directly from his lifelong experiences with the Andromedans. Today's video includes a compilation of several of the many important questions Alex Collier has received over the past few years, so please sit back, relax, and enjoy today's video.
Will the A's stop the poisoning of our air, water, and food?
Okay. Understand something. The A's are not the only ones in this. There is a very large contingency of benevolent races who are here to help. Okay? It's not just about the A's. That's number one. Because I want to make sure everybody gets their credit, their due here. There are many benevolents. Literally, the pollution of the earth can be cleaned up in a week. And I'm not kidding when I say that. The pollution of this planet can be cleaned up in a week once the benevolents get here and the dark side has stepped aside and or died off. Okay? That's how quickly this thing can turn around because of spiritual technology and the technologies that they use. Remember, everything's a holograph. Everything is a holograph. All physicality is a holograph. Okay? Things can turn around very, very quickly. And I have no clue who's going to run for president, who's going to win president. I'm personally not enamored with any of the candidates. So, remember, remember, you know, the people are supposed to. The people are supposed to run this country. The people are supposed to decide. Okay, not corporations, not businesses. Okay, governments were supposed to be and are supposed to be the servant of the people, not the other way around. So we literally have to change our thinking on what we expect government to be. Okay, if you want it to babysit you, then you have to give up your freedoms. If you don't want a babysitter because you can take care of business, you want them to take care of certain things that need to be dealt with, then that voice has to be spoken. Okay, and it has to come from the people to the government to say, look, this is what you're going to do. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. No way are you going to dictate to us, you know, how this is going to be run. We're telling you how we want it to be run. This is all part of self-empowerment. This is all part of that self-respect. You know, you are not going to tread on me. You are not going to shit on me. You are not going to do these things because you think it's going to give you control over us. That is not how this works, ladies and gentlemen. And that is not spiritual evolvement. It's never been spiritual evolvement. Okay? But what has to happen here is that humanity has to get to a place where we see ourselves as one. Regardless of race, color, creed, you know, in my humble opinion, all the religions should just get flushed down the toilet. Okay? Because I have not seen them unite anybody. Ever. And that would be a nice start. Okay? Wipe the slate clean. We are now the same. Okay.
So, Alex, from Catherine. Alex, can you provide any update about what's happening in Antarctica?
No, but I find it very interesting. I find it very interesting that all of a sudden now everybody wants to start talking about Lake Vostok Lake, or Lake Vostok down there, when, of course, all information for the last 15 years of what's been going on down there has been totally suppressed, including the disappearance of a news crew and a film crew that was down there. Now all of a sudden people want to start talking about it. So that tells me that they have probably, if there was technology there, they have probably skirted it all away. They've taken it out. They have probably completely sanitized the environment there, you know, so that we don't know jack. That's, I mean, and that's how cynical I've become as well with, you know, the powers that be. That's all I have, and I don't have anything specific other than that. But I do find it interesting that now suddenly they're allowing conversation about it, you know, and usually based on my past experience, that's what happens. They come in, they sanitize the area, make sure there's nothing that unique or anything that will create a paradigm shift, and then suddenly they'll let us start talking about it, or they'll even admit that it exists.
Do you know what the Mandela Effect is?
I do not.
All right.
Can you email it?
Yeah, I'll give you a nutshell. Essentially, people, it's called the Mandela Effect because certain people remember Nelson Mandela dying in the 90s. Some people remember him dying a few years ago, and then there was this very strange thing where he died in April, and then they said he died in September or something like that. But basically, it's the effect. Well, that's my opinion. All right, so it's people have different memories about events that have happened in the past. For instance, now what's the classic one is the Bernstein Bears and the Bernstein Bears. Like, people remember these two different spellings, or people remember a spelling, but every time you look it up, it's different. So there are different potential explanations for this, including the one where people are actually messing about with the history that's available on the internet. But people say it's about timelines and people's different memory of different timelines. So that's the question, basically. Would you comment on the Mandela Effect, because it's got quite a hype on the internet during the last few weeks?
Okay, well, I'll have to research that when I can. But we have talked in the past, and I've talked about this for 20 years, and so have other speakers talked about different timelines, and that timelines were created with the misuse of alien technology, such as the Montauk chair. The Nazis played some games with some things. The British have changed the timeline as well, experimenting with technology. And then, of course, we have CERN. So, yes, timelines were created that were going in very different directions. But if you remember, years ago, we talked about the fact that these timelines were all being merged into one. And from my understanding is that they have been all merged into one, but what's happened is that the memory, the multidimensional part of you, or the people who are experiencing these things, when the timelines merge, so are your memories. Okay? Again, you're multidimensional. You can be in several different places at once, not physically, but spiritually. Now, the fact that spiritually you're on another dimension means that you also, in most cases, will have a physical form. But spiritually, you are always connected to you, no matter where you are. Your physical forms would not be connected to other physical forms. Okay, for example, your physical form in third density is not connected to your physical form in fifth density. Spiritually, though, on a soul level, your soul aspect on fifth is connected to your soul aspect on third. There's never a separation there. So what is happening is that as these timelines were merging and are merging, well, my understanding is that they are merged. As they were merged, you brought the memories in with you, causing the conflict. Not to mention the fact that the A's have said, and they weren't the only ones involved in this, that they came back in time to correct something that went terribly wrong, which means this has happened before. And it could be that before was different than what it is now. Okay? I mean, we could spend a lot of time just talking about that.
From Mark, are they cloning important people? Can they move the consciousness into the clone? What is the difference between a clone and a twin?
Okay. They've been doing that for quite some time, actually. And my understanding is, no, they don't actually move the soul. The aliens have the ability, but they haven't given that to humans. Basically what happens is that inside the brain, it's a microprocessor. And essentially what they do is they download a mirror copy of the brain without the soul. So it acts like it, has the same mannerisms, can speak virtually the same. On the surface, it looks very much like the same being, but it isn't. I also know that physically there are some changes, some differences, that they're not exact replicas. I don't know if the souls are being freed or if the souls are being captured. It was my understanding that they were not allowed to capture any more souls. But, you know, the bad guys, the dark side, they don't play by the rules. They don't even play by their own rules. You know, they just constantly keep changing the game to try to get one up on everybody else. It's always power over. So that's a really good question. But yes, that has been going on for quite some time.
You have discussed the conditions that enabled the founding of the USA and mentioned that there was a 300-year period with little to no ET contact that helped make the USA possible. Are there any other details you care to share that you think could help us understand the way forward?
Well, that's a really good question. Well, for one, the population that was here was mostly indigenous, as you know. But however, the indigenous people do have legends of the Sky People. And there are some tribes who talk about having extended, though relatively short, conversations with the Sky Brothers. As far as I know, that was roughly it. It could be that the focus was more on Europe than any other place. Now, you know, let's take a look at that. Though there was relatively little going on here in the States in that regard, you know, let's go back to Europe and let's go back to the many stories about children being visited. Let's go back to the stories where we have proof in art that the plague, the bubonic plague, that there were spacecraft, flying craft, spraying that over cities, where later became the plague. There are many, many stories throughout the world of starships. In China, you have stories of several emperors saying, why are those things moving? Why are those stars moving? And the wise consultants of those days were saying, well, because the wind is blowing, it's making the stars move, when in fact they were spacecraft. So there's been a lot here going on all the time. Has there been a lot of interaction between the common people? No, I don't believe so. I believe what was happening was that there were certain cultures or civilizations, such as the Sumerian, the Egyptian, where there was contact because of bloodlines. And that information was just never shared with the common people, ever. We have the same thing in Germany, the Habsburgs, aka the Windsors, etc. So it may appear that nothing was going on. It's just that it was not common knowledge in any way, shape, or form. So, but here in the States, we have those legends, most of which have been completely discarded and, just dismissed, completely out of hand. So, but there was things going on. It was just not as prevalent as it is now because you had a smaller population. Now you have a very large population where you have this incredible focus of intense energy, conscious energy that has the ability to change the landscape of our galaxy in a very positive way or in a very negative way. Okay? That's why we're getting so much attention.
We humans, it seems, are having various proportions of ET DNA. Some have more Drac, while others seem content with living alone in tribal settings. Will this energy wave neutralize the dragon within? That's a very, very pertinent question. What do you do about the reptilian implants that, that we have to carry through to the next phase?
My understanding about how this works is that when we pass through the galactic plane, those who remain in physicality, they will be absolutely positive field. So whatever you're carrying that isn't positive field will burn away, especially if it isn't yours. Remember, when we move through this galactic plane, our DNA will change. Now, you got to remember that most of our DNA isn't even turned on. Okay? Only about 15% of it is turned on. When we move through this field, it's supposed to be turned on. You will not be the same person you are now. You will remember this person you are now, but you will be a completely different person. You will be so empowered with yourself, so empowered with knowledge, with wisdom, and the idea of what is right, that any influence you have that isn't yours, that doesn't vibrate to where you are, what your intention is, it's gone. It just burns up like dust. Okay? And that's what it'll be. It'll just be dust. Dust in the wind, to quote that rock and roll song. It'll just be dust in the wind.
Could this also be referred to as a wall of fire?
You mean the galactic plane?
Yeah.
Yeah, in essence, you could absolutely say that.
Yeah, because this is part of some other communications we've been having about that we all go through the wall of fire and we become cleansed and purified.
Uh-huh. Now,
So
some would
that's
have you
exactly what you just said. There's different ways of interpreting what cleansed and purified means, but this is a spiritual purification, isn't it?
It
And
is.
sort
That's
of
exactly what it
falling
is.
down to the physical.
That's exactly what it is. I couldn't have said that any better, JP. Well done.
Thank you. Can Earth's alternate timeline be accessed in a dream state? I think I
Yes.
visited this reality in a dream. And can
Yes.
you talk about well, I mean, my experience is that when I go to sleep and I wake up, I'm on a slightly altered timeline every time, and it's like I'm bubbling up,
Okay.
going up into different bubbles every time I sleep.
Here's my theory on that. And you're not alone on this. There are many others, including a very, very dear friend of mine, who has the same experience. What's happening is that on the two timelines that are merging, there is a part of you on the other side that already feels the exact same way you do. It knows that something's wrong. It may even have knowledge that it's merging into a timeline, into another time reality. And then there's you here knowing the same information. So what is happening is that the two of you are somehow touching each other. Remember, a timeline is a frequency. It's a very thin line of a frequency. And all you two have to do is just touch. You wouldn't actually touch each other, but just get close enough to that frequency barrier where you would just be able to communicate and see each other and know what each other is feeling. You would do that. So that when it happens is, and then when it's over with, you come back and your other half goes back. So you are accessing the other side as the other half of you is accessing this side. So that sounds like Batal to me, because what you're doing is you are bridging the gap to make sure that, and there are others doing this, you guys are basically connecting the timelines so that the merging comes through and is very easy, it's very settled, and as it comes in, there isn't this huge, dramatic, horrible event or a series of events. That's my theory on that. It sounds like Batal.
Does this mean that wherever one of these beings exists, there would exist a field, say 30, 40 miles around them, that would be drawn into that new reality and if we have them covering the Earth, we would connect together like the plates on a turtle's back. Is that the idea?
Yes, exactly right.
Cool. I like that.
It's like you have a cell phone and then you put a protective screen over the glass of it. It's very similar to that. And eventually what happens is you forget the glass is there, the protector is there, and now it's just the phone. That's what's happening. The reality is overlaying itself. Now, the Earth herself is raising her frequency, which is why the Schumann resonance is going so high. She has decided which harmonic is going to be the authentic one. So this negative field, this other timeline, as it's merging in, you will see the Earth dramatically increase her vibration so that there is virtually, the assimilation is virtually non-existent, okay? Because the negative energy is going to be absolved in all this positive frequency of light. That's what it is. But the consciousness of humanity on that side is different than us. There could be some real interesting ramifications of that because they're copies of us. If our frequency were to drop and this remained a higher frequency, this second timeline, this German Nazi timeline, this fascist timeline, would become the authentic timeline. We can't ever allow that to happen. No way can we allow that to happen. Okay? So we have to be on board with the mother here as she's raising her frequency. We need to continue to do the same, consciously make an effort to do the same, so that these timelines come right in and we can just move ahead and build and create an incredible future, not for just us, but for future generations behind us, of which there will be many.
Oh, beautifully put, Alex. Really, like, nuggeted. Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, because we maybe these other beings of ours, these other, like, it's like this. All right, so there's the alternate JP, right? And he's probably a member of the Nazi Party and doesn't play jazz. How do I deal with this asshole?
Okay. Interesting you would go there. You, of all people, would go there.
Me, of all people, yeah,
You would
because
go there.
I've been looking at the 1930s and everything.
Okay. For one thing, it's a huge assumption that that person's an asshole. It's a huge assumption to think that they actually have a choice in that reality to be a free thinker. Fascism, by its very definition, literally enslaves all aspects of life. And you either conform or you're out. So it's not like you're given choices. It could be that the other you is doing everything it can to survive while pretending to go along. That's what I think. Knowing the
Maybe
original copy, knowing the original version, as I do, that is highly more likely than the fact that he's an asshole.
I'm sure that somewhere on some timeline there's a very... Anyway, long story. Thank you, Alex, for that little affirmation there, but bless your heart. Go ahead.
That's it. That's all I got.
Right.
I'm gonna stop right there.
That's... If it will take 3 or 5 generations to fix the DNA, future humans can expect to live how long in the next generations?
It would not surprise me if the life expectancy did not reach at least the 400s again. For some, it could be more. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if the life expectancy went back into the 400s. Yeah. Because those of Atlantis who had 3 strands of DNA that were active, they lived into the 400s. Commonly, it was common. That's a good life, you know.
Good evenings.
If you look back at this one, and you're in that one, and you're like, I remember this one. You get a lot more done with a lifespan of 400 years. So, a lot more free time.
Yeah,
a lot more
imagine being able to learn piano and stuff.
It would probably take me 400 years to learn the piano. Yeah.
You just start slowly, eh? You just do it. And following in perfectly from this, are there instruments in other places in the universe, or are humans special in their instruments? I'm sure they mean musical instruments.
That's a great question. I've never seen a musical instrument when I've been with the A's, but the way we create music is entirely unique to any other race that they're aware of. And that's something we should all be very, very proud of. We're extraordinary in that way. And they are in awe, in fact, not only of some of the modern music, not all of it, but some of it, but especially the classical music that is created on our planet. They are enamored with our classical music because the different melodies and the notes and the waves and the sounds of the music and the way they are merged, they the A's specifically, they use their camera to take pictures of stars, moons, etc., planets. And then what they do is they will merge those together and create music. But they're the sounds of the universe. We, and we've talked about this in past webinars, we as a species, those of us who write music, seem to just pull it out of nowhere. And they are really quite enamored by that. It's a greater skill in the galaxy than we realize. It really is. And it is something that our species can be extremely proud of.
So my campfire guitar might be welcome on Alpha Centauri.
You will at least get a drink or two of Romulan.
Oh, excellent.
A few Romulan ales, I'm sure.
Do you think the guitar works universally?
I would think so.
It's a fan thing, isn't it? Yeah.
I would think
I'd love
so.
to teach guitar to. I'd love to teach guitar to five-fingered ET Greys. You know, check this. You can do some great chords with those.
You could probably teach them, but you might want to put some extra strings with you. Getting replacements might be difficult.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you found it insightful, please like the video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon so you don't miss out on future updates. If you have any questions relating to today's video, please also leave them below. We read all the comments and take on board what our viewers have to say about Alex Collier's work. Remember, your support helps Alex Collier's knowledge and the messages from the Andromedans reach more people. If you'd like to support the channel even more, you can give us a super thanks tip by clicking the heart icon with a $sign. It really helps our team bring you more content. Also, be sure to visit alexcollier.org to sign up for our regular email newsletter. It's the best way to stay updated with the latest news, exclusive content, and upcoming live webinars. For the latest insights from Alex Collier, check out alexcollier.live. And if you want to explore over 250 past webinars, head over to alexcollier.tv. Thank you for being a part of this journey and supporting Alex Collier's work. We couldn't do this without you, and we're genuinely grateful for your support. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the vast mysteries of our universe. If you would like to see the Andromedan contactee Alex Collier live via video stream, we hold a live online seminar every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. For more information on upcoming live webinars, please visit alexcollier.org.